Well, in the last decade, parents have increasingly relied on biometric monitoring devices to track their infants' vital signs and sleep patterns. Despite their popularity, experts caution against their use, citing potential risks and a lack of evidence supporting their efficacy in preventing sudden infant death syndrome. So enter Harbor. It's a new state-of-the-art baby monitor system, and it's opted not to include this biometric monitoring. Well, joining me now is Harbor's co-founder and CEO, Kevin Lavelle. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We've got the device up here on set, so I think we should start with this. Talk to me about what it is and how the biometric element is not included.
Absolutely. So I started Harbor because I had a nanny with my first son, and the device failed on me one night. And it's ultimately because these Wi-Fi cameras that force you to use an app on your phone aren't ultimately baby monitors. You can't rely on them. So what we've built is a camera and a 10-inch tablet that connect directly to each other, and they do that without internet, but both devices also connect to the internet. So you get the best of both worlds. You have a dedicated local fail-safe device, so if your internet goes down, if you're traveling, if your Wi-Fi goes down, it'll still work and it will alert you if it does lose connection. But then both devices also allow you to use an app on your phone. So if you're away from the house, if you want to check in on a babysitter, you get the best of both worlds.
And how do you think this solves something that isn't in the market now?
So there really is no device or system like this. A lot of parents end up using two types of systems. So they'll use a Wi-Fi camera, whether it's a baby camera or a Nest or a Ring. And then they'll also use one of those old school cameras and monitors, tiny little screens. They don't work very far, they're pretty low quality, you can't record or rewind, but it is local, which means it works without internet. And so you need both systems to get the best of both worlds, and Harbor has built something that has not yet existed, which does give you the best of both worlds. And then importantly, you can actually watch up to 4 different kids at the same time on one device. And this dedicated device means you're not relying on your phone. If you forget to plug your phone in at night, you don't have to worry about any of those issues.
How do you protect the data on the app? Because that would be an element that would be added here.
So this is a key distinction for Harbor relative to any of our competitors as well. There is a memory chip on the device itself. And so we don't actually store any of your data at all. All of your memories are stored on the device. Now, there's only so much storage we can have on the device. So if you want to keep it, you can press a button in your app and save it down to your phone. But after that, it's not something that we can access. So ultimately, everything is on the device. And if you are in your home and not using the app, your stream doesn't leave your house either, which increases security too.
What's the price for consumers?
So it's a 2-year subscription for $28 a month, and you get all the features. You get one camera and one monitor. But relative to your first question, we are not going down the road of those baby biometric devices. The number of false alerts that my friends have experienced caused me to never want one. But then doing a little bit of research, these aren't FDA-approved medical devices. The American Academy of Pediatrics advises against it, and as you said in the opening, experts advise against these because they're not reliable. It is interesting information at best, but ultimately causes a lot of anxiety for parents because now they're checking these stats and checking these biometrics all day long, and again, it's interesting information, maybe, but it ultimately causes a lot of anxiety for parents.
As a parent,
yes.
What is an example of a false positive that you or your friends have witnessed with some of those devices and technology?
So whether through the base station or an app, you get an alert that your child, either their heart rate has stopped or they're no longer breathing. You run into the room and ultimately the device was just not properly secured, got a little loose, or just was an error in the device itself. And this is ultimately part of why they have not been approved by the FDA, because there are no independent clinical studies that prove their reliability and their efficacy. SIDS is one of the most tragic things a parent could ever possibly imagine, but unfortunately researchers still don't understand what causes it, so it's impossible to detect it ahead of time. And that's why all of these companies have big, massive disclaimers on their websites that say you can't rely on these devices to prevent, cure, or diagnose any disease, and they shouldn't be relied upon for SIDS either.
Interesting. Now I see that your company earlier this year raised $3.7 million in seed funding, so congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you want to grow the business from here?
We are so excited. We will begin our pre-sales later this spring and begin shipping devices this spring across the summer. So ultimately, it's about getting our product into the hands of consumers, showing them something that they've never had before, and also offering to lower the stress and anxiety of parenting. So many of these other baby biometric devices and baby monitor companies are increasing the anxiety and concern parents face. With this, you don't have to monitor your monitoring. You'll know if you've lost connection, and we're not strapping wearables to your kids. So it's about giving parents the comfort and security that they need, and knowing that ultimately parents and kids can and should be able to get more sleep.
What's the best way for one of our viewers to get their hands on one of these?
So harbor.co, harbor.co is our website. You can place your pre-orders there. And also, we're on all the socials at Harbor Sleep.
Now, in terms of partnering with bigger retailers, have you considered maybe an Amazon, a Target, a Walmart, for instance?
So we're launching this year direct to consumer. My last business, we had a lot of great wholesale partnerships. Believe in the value of those partnerships, but out of the gate, we're launching direct to consumer because with many of these big box retailers, you need to start those relationships a year or two ahead of time. And we're just beginning to ship product this year, so we'll be in those conversations over the years ahead.
Artificial intelligence, the biggest buzz term, I will say, right, since it's technically two words.
Yes.
Certainly, I would say the past 18 months or so, is AI embedded into your system?
Yes, so we have an incredibly powerful chip in the camera itself made by one of the leading computer vision chip companies. It will allow us to do some really unique computations all at the edge in terms of alerting parents. And when I say at the edge, that means it's not coming to our cloud. So most of the other baby monitor companies that offer those types of services, they're sending your data to their cloud, processing and then sending that information back. All of it will be done at the edge on the device itself, increasing security for parents.
How competitive is the price point to other offerings out there?
Relative to the other kind of leading products out there, over a 2-year period, we are either roughly below or roughly above because we don't have additional subscriptions. All the other companies offer additional subscriptions to store your memories in their cloud. Everything is included on the device itself, so it's roughly comparable.
In addition to price, probably what parents want to know most is how much sleep is this going to save them? Can you quantify that?
Yeah, so I mean, the statistic is parents lose about 130 nights of sleep on average in their first year of raising kids. And so what we have is a groundbreaking platform, a remote night nanny platform, where you can hire our night nurses to remotely monitor your children securely. It only happens if you want us to. We can't access your feed otherwise. But we can give you that all-night eyes-on expertise and alert you only when it's time for you to go in and care for your child. So in a city like Dallas, where I'm from, it's about $400 a night to have a night nurse come into your house and help you sleep train your child. What we're looking to do is bring that cost down to about $20 a night. And if you have an internet connection, you can get access to that level of expertise.
I think certainly it could obviously help you monitor your child, but in terms of sleep train your child, would that be a challenge, obviously, with a remote night nurse versus someone in person?
Well, so we're replicating the same structure and schedule. And so if a night nurse is in your house, he or she's going to be looking at your baby monitor and making a determination on whether or not they should go into your room. So certainly if something's wrong, but if, let's say it's 5 or 10 minutes go by, okay, it's time to go in and soothe that child. They're following that schedule. What we'll do is follow that same schedule, but turn your monitor back on for you if it's time for you to go in and care for your child. So what we've heard is a lot of parents are really excited about this because they'll be the one to go in and care for their child rather than have someone else in their home, which is a reason that parents, some of whom could even afford a night nanny, don't want someone else in their house. So this allows anyone to get that level of care and expertise. So if your child fusses or cries for a minute or two and goes back to sleep, we'll be watching if you hire us to do so. And you don't have to worry about if it's time to go in. But having sleep trained 2 kids ourselves as parents, ultimately those 1 or 2 minutes off and on all night long might mean that you don't sleep at all night long. Even if you're not going in, we'll be able to monitor remotely and wake you up if it's time for you to go in and take care of your child.
Kevin Lavelle, pretty cool stuff. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sure making a lot of parents happy out there.
Excited to do so.
Kevin is the co-founder and CEO of Harbor. Kevin, thank you.
Thank you.